challenges of virtual education, the corona has thrust the entire world head on into a virtual existence. And educational institutions are no different. But this is an avalanche that people could see coming a long time ago. It has finally hit us and hit us really hard. But please remember that this avalanche had hit several other industries over the last 20-30 years. So I'll talk in the context of this movement. Please remember that this phenomena is not only related with Corona. Corona had just expedited this transition, which was eventually going to happen anyhow. And this transition is basically from an industrial age to information age. And several industries have gone through it, as I am going to explain in a little while. As you can see over here, that we need our vision of the information age requires that we transit from the industrial age into information age. What does that mean? How is the view of the industrial age different from the view of the information age? First of all, we need to view all our resources as bits of information. They are nothing more than a sequence of zeros and ones. That's it. Then we need to view our businesses, our operations, our existence, our organizations as not manipulating raw material into finished products. We need to now view them as bits of information coming in, and these are getting manipulated and processed, and bits of information that are leaving our organizations. And then as a professional, so we now need to view our skills also as bit manipulation operation. That is, we not only need to view the products coming in the form of bits of information and coming out as bits of information, but our skills in processing that information needs to be also something that we do with that data. And that's a very important point, especially when we talk about educational institutions. Somehow the educational institutions have been shielded by many of these things, as I will come to it. And education being a very conservative institution, it has been among the last frontiers that went through this transformation. And I'm going to talk about various industries that have already gone through this. So, in the industrial age, you had organizations that had hierarchies, that had organizational hierarchies, they had campus hierarchies, they had various kinds of hierarchies. And then these hierarchies required that you physically structure the resources. There are four M's. Materials, money, machines, and people or women, men. So these have to be physically structured into organizations. The materials have to be physically ordered, the money has to be physically ordered, and machines have to be physically structured. Now, similarly, the educational institutions over the last 200 years have also been organized as assembly lines. Now, these assembly lines, in assembly line you have various stages. The product moves from stage 1 to stage 2. In stage 1 something gets done, in stage 2 something else gets done, in stage 3 something else gets done, and the final product comes out from the other end. Similarly, the schools and the colleges and the universities were also viewed as assembly lines. So here is a freshman coming in. So in one semester we are going to fit something. In the second semester we are going to fit some more 4 or 5 or 6 courses. And then we are in the third semester going to fit in him another 5, 6 courses, and so on till the student has completed the program and graduates. So it was again an assembly line view. And there, from each stage to another stage, there was an examination that held a quality check that moved the students from one stage to another. So the assembly lines of curricula divided into semesters, which are being fitted into the minds of the students, and the examinations as a quality check from moving the students from one stage to another, from one semester to another. And then there were all these brick and mortar facilities, the brick and mortar classrooms where the student teacher will stand in a particular way, the students will be seated in a particular way, the teacher will come and deliver the lecture or case study method in a particular way, and then the final exam will be held in examination halls which are structured in a different way. And there were campus classrooms and organized examination halls and all. So that was the assembly line view of how education gets done in the industrial age. Remember, this corona has pushed us from the industrial age in a few months into the information age. So, when we look at physical structuring in the industrial age, the money were there in banks, and there were exchange rates, and there were financial instruments, and the price bonds were in a physical manner. The materials were assets, inventory, supplies, product lines, machines were there for processing the raw material into finished goods, with time and motion studies and assembly lines and motorized processes, and people were defined and organized into various companies and departments and organization charts and others. In the information age, we have, as I mentioned earlier, money has to be viewed as bits of information, materials have to be viewed as bits of information, machine has to be viewed as bits of information, and people have to be viewed as bits of information. So when the money is happening in the information age, it is the bits of information which does a debit over here and a credit over there, and the funds move from one account to another account. That's how it is happening. It's no longer physical money which is traveling. It's e-cash, credit cards, and the e-transactions are taking over everything. The materials, so the inventory systems, MRP, procurement, supply chains are all ways of organizing these bits of information. And now we have remote operations and fully automated factories, and people are now organized as virtual organizations working from home, and then there are holodesks and Zoom meetings and other technologies. Now, one of the important things that happened as we were moving from agriculture age into the information was the transition from agriculture to industrial age was accompanied by a reduction in the employment in the agriculture age and increase in the employment in the services sectors, and most services already got into the digital age. And so there were more jobs in the information related services and less in industrial production. So in 1920s, there were 29% of the people who were involved in agriculture. And this number has gone down to only 3% in 1990s. And now that number would be much less right now. Similarly, the number of people who are working in physical organizations is going to decrease and will decrease tremendously as their number will increase in virtual organization. And you can see it from the Fortune 500 companies. Which are the companies that are at the top of the pyramid? And those top companies in Fortune 500 are the Amazons, the Googles, the Facebook, and the Oracle, and Microsoft, and other such companies. And now what happened? So the companies that were unable to consider their existence as bit manipulation, what happened to them? Here are a few examples. FedEx, it managed to change itself tremendously, and it went from, and it remained, previously it was FedEx, and in the Fortune 500 it is still it. But where are Kodak and Agfa? Those companies were slow in visualizing themselves as bit manipulators, and they actually are nowhere to be seen now. The insurance companies had to redesign themselves as bit manipulation. Telephone companies went out of the business. So now, for instance, PTCL has to move to the mobile world and in bit. So the conventional hardware operated telephonic industry is gone. Conventional television industry is gone. Television industry is now more like cable and internet. The encyclopedia that were there for 200 years. So Britannica closed down in 2010. And why it closed down? Because they were unable to see themselves as a bit manipulation organization. And Encyclopedia Britannica is a company that operated in the knowledge sector. And Wikipedia came from behind. Who are the workers in Wikipedia? Who are the employees? There are very few employees. Who are the editors? They are working pro bono, and they are working around the world. And where they are situated, how that is organized, it's all a bit manipulation exercise. And the encyclopedia of those yesteryears is no more. Even the government today, for survival, has to become digital. And education was the final frontier. The movies went digital, so the movies have now gone on to Netflix, the television has gone on digital, every other organization has already gone. Amazon has totally changed the complexion of the retail industry. The retail superstores are gone. The retail malls are no longer operational in USA and are closing down very fast. And education is also a bit manipulation challenge. And universities, schools, conferences, training programs are up for grab for anyone who would like to take lead and convert the process into some value-added educational digital manipulation. So, what is the challenge right now? So can we see students as a sequence of bits or their picture as bits? Can we see teachers from person to a digital persona? Can we see our lectures moving from synchronous to asynchronous mode? Can we see our outlines as lesson plans, activities, and resources as bits? Can we see our classroom engagement as an engagement happening through bits of information that are exchanged between the students and the teacher? It's no longer about the voice, analog voice moving from the mouth of the students and getting into the ears of the teacher and vice versa. It is now about a stream of bits leaving a student and then getting processed by the other entity. So that is another challenge. The other challenge is that the conventional way of examination is no longer working. I have a separate YouTube video expressly on what is meant by examination in the online world. So I won't be putting too much time in it. And learning management, the process of managing the learning happening in a university, is now no more than analysis of this data, the data about the students, data about the faculty, data about their classroom engagement, data about their lesson plans, the data about their submissions, and data about their progress. And all of this has to be done in the information age as bits of information. So now management of universities is no longer a bricks and mortar and management of classrooms and examination halls and other, although those facilities may still be there, but for a very specific purpose. The general area, the infrastructure of the education and its organization is going to be online. And this is the view, this is the problem that we are facing. So people who are resisting the change are the ones who cannot visualize their existence as a sequence of bits, the existence of students as a sequence of bits, the existence of teachers as a sequence of bits, the existence of lectures as a sequence of bits, the existence of engagement as a sequence of bits, and the entire management of this learning experience as a sequence of bits. And this is the biggest challenge of virtual education. And the difficulty that we are having, wherever we are seeing this difficulty, is trying to impose the concepts of the industrial age onto the information age education. So whenever you will try to have a synchronous session, you are going to have a problem. Whether you want to have a synchronous examination or a synchronous lecture, somehow the underlying behavior of the technology is more towards asynchronous flexibility. If the organizations are working from home, the students can work at home. And now the universities have to decide how they are going to measure the productivity of a faculty member, the productivity of the student. It can no longer be in terms of clock hours, which will determine how much the work the student has done. We have to move. Clock hour is the input. We have to move from input to the output. What is it that the teacher has actually delivered in the form of the lesson plans, in the form of the activities, in the form of the assignments, in the form of the videos, in the form of the resources that he has put in. And similarly, the work of the student is now measuring the engagement with many of these activities and quizzes and assignments and lesson plans and forums and discussions and so on and so forth. So this basically is the biggest challenge. And now the challenge for the universities, therefore, is to view the following 5 sacred structures of the industrial age educational system in the information age emerging reality. And that is the campus structure, the time structure, the teaching structure, the examination structure, and the knowledge structure. For these 5 areas, I have another separate video on this. And I would now welcome you to think about the problems that we are facing in terms of our ability or the inability to measure the operations of the university as bits of sequences of bits that need to be moved from here to there and processed till the student leaves. Thank you very much.